Yes guys, welcome to a brand new video. My name is Conan and today we're going to be talking about nutrition for fat loss. So let's get into it, because nowadays there's a lot of stuff that I see on Instagram, social media, people promoting these crazy diets, including certain food groups, seed oils, toxic foods, all this stuff. And it kind of like muddies the water in terms of like what you should focus on and what you shouldn't focus on, because a lot of times I see people just overcomplicate things and just focus on the small itty gritty stuff and neglect like the big rocks when it comes to nutrition. I'm a big proponent and I just preach simplicity here, and I'm all about balance too. So ultimately what it comes down to is calories in versus calories out. No one ever could argue with that with the law of thermodynamics. If you eat less calories than you burn, you will simply lose body fat. There is a lot more to it than just that in regards to the way you look, the way you feel, digestion, all that stuff. So I do want to cover some of the nitty gritty stuff in this video as well. So ultimately what it comes down to, like I said, calories. And now the way that you figure out how many calories you need is it's obviously going to differ from person to person, because a lot of different factors come into play, like your lifestyle, your age, your height, your weight, past diet experiences, all these things. And so what I would recommend most people to do is one of two things. Number one, go online to caloriecalculator.com. It's just a very general calorie calculator that you can use. You can use a bunch of other websites that you can find that'll basically spit out a rough estimate of your maintenance calories. The second option that you could do is simply take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 15. So for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, multiply by 15, that'll give you 3,000 calories. Now this will give you a rough estimate of your maintenance calories. Big emphasis on the word rough, because this isn't going to be exactly the case, because like I said, a lot of different factors come into play, but it'll get you somewhat close enough. And now with this number for the next 2 weeks, what I want you guys to focus on, keeping track of how many calories you eat. Try to stick to the 3,000 calories if you're 200 pounds, and then also keep things as consistent as you can. So don't do anything drastic every single day. Make sure that you go to sleep on the same time. Try to keep your meals roughly the same. Try to keep your activity the same. Don't suddenly go from being super sedentary up to being super active now, because that can kind of skew the number. So keep things as consistent as you can. Keep track of how much you're eating, and then over the next 2 weeks you'll notice somewhat of a trend, right? So if you notice that your weight somewhat stays the same, eating 3,000 calories, doing everything that you've been doing, congratulations, you have found your maintenance calories. Now if you notice that you slightly gain a bit more weight, then you know that the 3,000 calories is going to be slightly more than your maintenance. And if you notice that you're losing a bit of weight, then you know that that's going to be a slight deficit for you. But let's just say, for argument's sake, you're eating 3,000 calories for the next 2 weeks and your weight roughly stays the same. You have found your maintenance calories. Now, depending on what your goal is, all you're simply going to do from there is simply add more calories to that number or subtract calories from that number. So let's say you want to gain body mass and gain muscle, then you'd have to be in a calorie surplus, because it becomes very, very difficult to build muscle without having the raw materials needed to do so. It's almost like trying to build a house with no materials. Like, you're not going to build a house out of nothing. You obviously need wood, you need all the other things. And so when it comes to our bodies wanting to build more muscle, you have to give your body enough nutrients, enough calories, right? Enough energy to actually build on top of that frame. It's really difficult to go from 150 pounds up to 200 pounds while eating your maintenance calories. And so when it comes to muscle gain, you can only gain muscle so fast, so you definitely cannot rush the process. So don't think about suddenly adding 1,000 extra calories, 2,000 extra calories on top of your maintenance. Don't do that. You can only build muscle so fast, so it is a slower process. So what I recommend you to do is, with your maintenance numbers, simply add 250 to 500 calories to that number. So let's say your maintenance calories is 3,000 calories, simply go up to 3,200 calories or 3,500 calories. You want to aim to gain around half a pound a week or so, depending on your experience level. If you're brand new to this, you could probably get away with 1 pound a week, whereas if you're a bit more advanced, then closer to half a pound a week. That'll give you your calorie surplus. Now, when it comes to fat loss, in order to lose body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. So simply take your maintenance calories and subtract calories from that. And now, similar to muscle gain, you don't want to speed up the whole fat loss process, because contrary to building muscle, you can lose weight very, very fast. But there's a big difference between fat loss and weight loss, because weight loss implies that you're both losing muscle mass, which is not what we want unless you want to turn into a frail, skinny person, whereas fat loss implies that you're simply just losing body fat while maintaining, if not building, some muscle along the way. So a slight calorie deficit is recommended here. 1 pound of fat has 3,500 calories, and so if you want to lose 1 pound of fat per week, then being in a 500 calorie deficit per day for the entire week will help you do so. So let's say you're eating 3,000 calories as your maintenance. I highly recommend getting down to 2,500 calories in order to lose 1 pound of fat per week. That's usually a good spot for most people, where you still have enough energy to do your day-to-day tasks. You're not too lethargic, not too moody, and you can still eat enough calories to fuel your workouts, fuel your life. And so that is what I would recommend when it comes to fat loss. Now, the second thing to focus on is your macronutrients. These include your carbohydrates, your fats, and your protein. Protein simply helps you build more muscle and retain muscle, so it is absolutely essential whether you're trying to gain muscle or lose body fat. Protein is absolutely crucial. And so I recommend eating 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So using the 200-pound example, if you weigh 200 pounds, eat roughly 200 grams of protein. No need to eat more, no need to eat less. Honestly, especially when you're building muscle, you can probably get away with 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Just to keep things easy, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is a good number to hit. When it comes to your fats, fats are absolutely essential, not just for stored energy, but then also to keep your hormones nice and healthy, especially your testosterone levels. I made the big mistake in the past before where I just completely neglected my healthy fats. And I was like, oh, I don't need healthy fats. I'll just focus on protein and carbs. But I noticed my testosterone suffered. It absolutely plummeted. It tanked. I had horrible libido, horrible sex drive, everything just kind of sucked. So really, really important not to do that. So eat your healthy fats. So a bare minimum of 0.4 grams of fats per pound of body weight. And now with the rest of your calories, you're going to simply fill them with your carbohydrates. So that is what I would recommend when it comes to your calories and macronutrients. And now when it comes to your macronutrients, we obviously need these in smaller amounts, but these can be found in your fruits, your vegetables. And so just make sure that with every single meal that you eat, you have a good quality source of them into your meals. Just to obviously make sure that you get a variety of vitamins, minerals in for your health, longevity, and then also to help you feel a bit better. Most of these fruits and veggies also have fiber, which helps aid in digestion. So unless you want to feel bloated all the time, definitely highly recommend to eat more of those. Plus it helps you stay fuller for longer, which is absolutely ideal, especially when you're trying to lose body fat and you're in a calorie deficit, because naturally speaking, if you're eating less calories than you burn, hunger tends to be an issue. But if you eat tons of fiber in the form of fruits and veggies, that should not be an issue. Now, last thing here is hydration and supplementation. Supplements are not required whatsoever. There are a couple that could be beneficial, such as caffeine to give you more energy on the days when you maybe had a poor night's sleep, but not something to rely on at all. And then creatine as well. It's been super scientifically studied. One of the safest, most effective supplements out there, creatine monohydrate, that is. It helps increase your ATP, which is your body's currency for using energy. So you'll definitely notice an increase in power and strength on shorter bursts of energy, whether it's on like your 5-rep max on the lift or even like some sprinting as well. It's also been found to have some cognitive benefits as well, so something to maybe experiment with. But definitely 5 grams a day every single day is a great supplement as well. Having a multivitamin as a safety net to kind of cover all the bases. So if on certain days you're not eating a variety of fruits and veggies, having a multivitamin can again be used as a safety net to ensure that you're getting all the vitamins and minerals in that your body requires. Vitamin D is also going to be beneficial if you live in an environment where you don't have access to direct sunlight. So if you live in like the North Pole, for example, I'm not sure if people watching this live in the North Pole, but let's say you live there, for example, then supplementing in like a vitamin D supplement, highly beneficial. But especially when the summer is around the corner right now, I obviously have access to direct sunlight. I do not need to fuss with that. So those are kind of like the general supplementations that I would recommend, but again, not required whatsoever. If you focus on the big building blocks, like I said, like your calories and macronutrients, you'll be doing 90% of the work. And now lastly is hydration. This should be a no-brainer to most people, but try to drink at least 2 to 3 liters of water per day. Ideally closer to 4 liters of water per day, especially when you're trying to lose body fat, because oftentimes you mistake hunger for dehydration. So whenever you tend to feel really, really hungry, try having 2 glasses of water first, and what you'll notice is that your hunger will literally dissipate immediately. Especially first thing in the morning. I see a lot of people make this mistake where they wake up and first thing they do is they just eat a big sugary bowl of cereal. Not what you want to do. First things first, you want to drink 2 glasses of water, and you'll notice that you're not going to be craving as much food. So that's what I would recommend when it comes to your calories, macronutrients, hydration, and supplementation. And if you focus on the basics, don't get too distracted with excluding certain food groups, because you need all 3 macronutrients in order to obviously perform well and feel good about yourself. Again, don't make the mistake I made by excluding certain food groups, even excluding certain foods. Like a lot of people tend to say, oh, don't eat pizza, don't eat fries, don't eat burgers. And now, although they may not have the most nutrients compared to other foods, I highly recommend just having a balance there, because as soon as we exclude certain things from our diet, we tend to want to crave them immediately as well. If I were to tell you, hey, you can never have pizza again, guess what you're going to be craving? You're going to be thinking about pizza all day just because you simply cannot have it. But if you focus on having things in moderation, you'll stay sane and you'll stay a lot more consistent. If you cannot do it for a year, don't even do it for a day. So that is everything. If you guys do have any questions for me regarding any of this, please let me know, and I'll see you all soon. Peace. Now, if you need help losing 30 to 50 pounds in the next 6 months, go ahead and schedule a free fitness consultation with us down below. We'll look at your current situation and we'll map out a real plan to help you absolutely crush your goals in the next couple of months.